Hello world, I'm Whitney Bandel and welcome to another video from my HTML and CSS course. In this video we will be looking at the requirements for the final project. So I'm going to open up Canvas, and if you go to week 5 and you look at the very bottom, we have a link to the final project and then the final project proposal discussion post. Alright, so if we look through this, the objective for the final project will be a review of all the course learning objectives. Your project should demonstrate proficiency coding with HTML and CSS by hand using a text editor. For this assignment, for this project, you'll choose a subject and create a 5-page website for that topic. The only requirement is that the subject must be relevant to Web 110. Once you have chosen a topic, you will post your idea to the course's discussion thread. Each person must choose a different topic. So this is going to be the same as the midterm. When you have an idea you want to post here first, make sure you check to see if somebody else has already posted the same idea. If you have any questions or concerns, email me and we can talk about your idea. Below is a list of suggested topics. If you would like to choose another topic, contact me and we can discuss if it's going to meet the requirements for the project or not. As you are completing your research, be sure to credit all sources, articles, quotes, images, videos, audio, etc. in your credits page. Suggested topics. So I have these grouped into several different types of categories. So here, this first group is concepts and technologies. Here we have search engine optimization, progressive web apps, mobile first, the Internet of Things, JavaScript, it's not Java, infographics, Flexbox grid systems, user experience, customer experience, user interaction, motion UI, usability testing, web security threats, bots, real-time applications, static site generators, artificial intelligence, virtual reality. If you don't know what some of these topics are, spend some time just looking them up, getting familiar with them. This is a good opportunity to learn about a new topic. Another category would be looking at best practices, trends, or top 10 lists. So some examples of lists that you might be interested in pursuing: 10 HTML best practices, 10 CSS best practices, 10 new things in CSS3, latest trends in web design, latest trends in accessibility, 10 great web development tools, 10 best HTML, CSS, JavaScript frameworks, 10 great sites for learning about web development, 10 busiest websites. Then you could also take a look at individuals who are influential. So here are a list of noteworthy names: Tim Berners-Lee, Haakon Wyomley, Brendan Eich, Ethan Marcotte, anyone else important to the past, present, or future of the web. How-tos: how to make money on YouTube, how to integrate social media integration, how to choose the best domain name, how to choose the best web hosting service. And then finally, your choice. If your desired topic is not listed above, you can contact me and we can discuss whether or not the topic that you are interested in will suit this final project. So some requirements. You're going to want to have wireframe tags, and you must have at least 2 columns on all pages. So in a prior video, we've looked at how you can actually code multiple columns on a website. You'll need to have a horizontal navigation at the top and bottom of each page, coded as an unordered list. You need to have a liquid layout. Your website should not be the full width of the screen. It should be centered. Size measurements should be in percentages. Text measurements should be in ems. Small measurements for padding, borders, margins can all be in pixels, but only if smaller than, let's say, it says 10, I'm going to be flexible, maybe 20 pixels or so. Responsive web design principles, flexible measurements, 2 appropriate media queries this should be tablet, for tablet and phone sized viewports, appropriate meta viewport HTML tag, flexible images, so your images should resize, content, each page should have sufficient content. So you should have enough content that you can actually scroll through the page. This will allow me to see how your information will move around based off of the display window. This will also help with your fragment identifiers and giving you the ability to add those in your page. Use a common wireframe on each page to make them consistently organized and styled. Your home page should define your topic into a broad image. Your issue page should explain your subject in further detail. This is going to be similar to how you developed your information for your midterm project. You will have a form page, which will include form elements. I have a list of requirements for the form page below. Credits page, include an example of all links on this page in addition to providing links to all content used for the site. You want to make sure that you have detailed credits. You need to make sure that if you have the information, you include any titles, authors, publication names, name of the website, link, date it was published, date you access the content, what type of media it is. All of that information should be included on your credits. I have links to MLA formatting if you need a reference. Course objectives page, include the course description and objectives for Web 110 HTML CSS from the JCCC website. Hard code this information, do not merely link to it. So this will be pretty much identical to what you did for the midterm. Name your pages using Final. This will make it easier when I'm grading and validating your code to easily swap out your pages. Links. In addition to your navigation links, you need to have a link, at least one link to an external page, at least one link to an internal page, a link within a page, so this would be using your fragment identifiers, a link to an email, and then a file download link. Now, some of these are concepts that we haven't looked at yet, but we will look at by the time that you will be finishing up your final project. You'll need to have a data table on any page. Should be at least a 4x5 configuration. Make sure the content is appropriate for a data table. You need to have an ordered list on any page, include at least 5 items, an unordered list in addition to your navigation. Your 2 navs on any page include at least 5 items. The form should include appropriate examples of these elements. Include matching label elements in all form elements. So you will have several different types of input. So text, a submit button, a reset button, a checkbox, radio option, date, text area, and then this one's probably the most often forgotten. Creating a select an option with at least 3 options. You need to have at least 1 image per page and give credit to all your images. You need to have HTML5 tags. No div tags where a header, footer, nav, or other semantic tag would work better. This could be an opportunity where you could work with section and article tags as well. Style sheets. Link all pages to an external style sheet named styles.css. You will also need to have a print style sheet, which will have styles that are optimized for print. It should be called print.css. On the page with the form, include an embedded style sheet with the form styles. So those are going to be the only styles that you can do as embedded. CSS3, include at least one CSS3 style. Add a comment to your style sheet to identify it. And I've had some questions about what counts as CSS3. CSS3 styles are kind of intermixed with the other styles that we have been working with throughout the semester. CSS is constantly being updated, but I have 2 links. They are under week 7. If you go to the CSS3 section, these 2 links will give you a bit more of an idea of what counts. Here we have opacity, selectors. So here we have like target, last of type, media queries, backgrounds and borders. So this will give you a full breakdown. I actually kind of preferred this other site better. This is css3.info. And here they have examples. Borders, so like border color, border image, border radius, box shadow, backgrounds, color, working with opacity, different text effects, user interface, box sizing, attribute selectors, following the basic box model, overflow, content, transitions. Your textbook mostly looks at the transitions, so you might use that. Your last couple assignments one of your last assignments will have you create transitions. So this could be a good example of a CSS3 to use. You want to make sure your code validates. You want to include comments that include your name, date, and subject on top of all your pages, including your CSS. And you want to have comments throughout your media queries and your styles, explaining what your styles are and what they're affecting, especially if you have any sort of classes or IDs, proper indentation, correct spelling and grammar, and then a design that uses a simple but professional color scheme. Consider your fonts, what you're using, if you're using serif or sans serif, and just general design best practices. And here you'll see how this would be 300 points. I have a rubric down here, so you can use this as a checklist to see what you need to have as you're working through. I have a couple of student examples that we can take a look at. So this is one example that someone did on the future and development of VR. They have their horizontal navigation. Their content is split up into 2 columns. Here they have a footer navigation at the bottom. We can resize the window, and you'll see that what they've done is once their page gets to be small enough, their information breaks down into a single column. And tables are going to be a little bit tricky. You need to consider how you might use your tables. And there's actually a better way of checking how a website looks in a window. I'm going to actually open this in Chrome. I have a couple links to this as well. I have a couple links to how you can preview websites in browsers. So I'm going to go up here, go to more tools, developer tools, and then I have the option of choosing what sort of device I want to preview as. So I can click responsive. I could choose, say I want to look at the tablet version. So this actually does a better job of showing what a website is going to look like on a device. So here we could switch between different types of phones. So it looks like this might have been optimized more for an iPhone. It doesn't look as good on, let's say, Galaxy S5. So I would suggest using this in the future to kind of check to see how a website is going to look, in addition to resizing a window and being able to actually see how it's going to look as it stretches. So this is a good example to see how the information is going to stack. Here I have another example, again, the horizontal navigation, two different columns of information, the navigation and the footer. And then here again we have the two different columns merging into one and stacking. And then the navigation changes depending on if it's more of a mobile view. Have our form here, credits, here is a third example. Again, we have our navigation, we have our two different columns, navigation on the bottom. This one we can see the image resizing as we change the window. Here we have a completely different size for the image once it gets to be a single column. Once we get to more of a mobile view, the navigation changes. Here's an example of the form page. Course objectives. So you can use these as kind of an idea. The biggest things are just making sure you remember to have it two columns, including your different navigations. And then I would suggest researching your topics for now, and then try to collect all of your information. Even if you don't know how to make a table right now or a form, start thinking about what sort of content you would want to have, and then by the time you watch those videos, you should have a better understanding of how to work with those. Or if you'd like to contact me and meet and talk, we can do that as well.